Welcome to the UGC EPG Pathshala lecture series in computer science. In this series of lectures, we have been looking at database management system. And for this session, we will be continuing on the discussions that we had on database replication. As a continuation to the previous session, some of the objectives of this session include, I will be talking about ownership types, and I will be talking on the roles and responsibilities of a replication server and its functionalities. We have started mentioning on the components of replication. So, a replication group can exist at multiple replication sites. Replication environment support two types of sites, one is a master site, the other one would be a slave site. This master and slave site can be existing on multiple replication groups, that is also been possible. So, a replication group can be associated with one or more master sites and with one or more slave sites. That means, I can maintain as many copies of database at master sites, and the same can be applied to the slave sites also. So, one site can be both a master site for one replication group and a slave site for a different replication group. If I take for example one specific site, a database replication can act as a master site with a collection of database copies of database, and the same site can act as a slave for a different group. So, a master site controls a replication group and the objects in that specific group. So, this can be achieved by maintaining a complete copy of all objects in the replication group and by propagating any changes to the replication group to copies located at any number of slave sites. A slave site can contain all or a subset of objects. So, it is not mandatory that the slave site should contain all the information pertaining to a particular site or all the information that is available at the master site. So, it can have all, or in case it can even copy a subset of the overall collection. However, the slave sites only contain a snapshot of a replication group, such as a relations data from a certain point in time. So, I am very particular that the slave site should have a snapshot of a data, that is a read only copy, so that there does not happen any updation or write operation. Typically, a snapshot site is refreshed periodically to synchronize it with its master site. So, after periodical upgradation, I connect the slave site with the master site so that I maintain consistency, or I synchronize slave site with the master site, thereby I am ensuring consistency with the database. The protocol for updating replicated data worked on the basis that all updates are carried out as part of enclosing transactions. In other words, the replicated data is updated immediately when the source data is updated. So, this typically follows a two-phase commitment protocol issue. If you look at any two-phase commitment protocol where it is being executed, one as a distribution phase, the other one as a commit phase, where at the initial of the transaction I will spread out all the values to the slave sites, or any number of data values will be replicated to the slave sites, and we synchronize the same again with the master site. So, this methodology is being adopted here also. So, that is why this type of replication is called synchronous replication. But when you look at the disadvantage of synchronous replication, the transaction will be unable to fully complete if one or more of the sites that hold replicas are unavailable. We mean to say that the transaction is not being successful or it cannot be fully complete if in case more than one site where the replicas are unavailable. This you might have noticed when you are going for a retail shop. The people who are involved in the retail shop might say it is not connecting to the server, or this can even happen in the point of sale machine, where many a times you may not have a successful transaction. So that means you will not be able to do a synchronous replication. Further, the number of messages required to coordinate the synchronization of data places a significant burden on corporate networks. As an alternate to this synchronous replication, we will have asynchronous replication, where on a synchronized replication, whatever strategies that made the drawbacks in case of failure of transactions, now that we wanted to make it successful. So we can adopt the principle of asynchronous transactions or replications also. So with this mechanism, the target database is updated after the source database has been modified. So any which case, if the source database is modified, the update happens only when the source databases has any modification to it, and synchronization happens to the target database. So the delay in regaining consistency may range from few seconds to few hours. We have actually been doing a transaction which involves lot of fee collection. So in this particular case, we actually have to arrive at the number of transactions which has been successful, how much has been credited into from one account to the other account, how much has been debited from one account and credited to the other account. So that consistency has to be maintained, and if at all the transaction has not happened, to look for the consistency of the transaction, we may have to wait for few certain days to identify what issue has been sorted out. However, the data eventually synchronizes to the same values at all sites. But many a times this asynchronous replication is not been very particular. We tend to follow synchronized replication, but although this violates the principle of distributed data independence, autonomy, it appears to be practical compromise between data integrity and availability. Whenever we look for the validity of the data and the availability of the data for a longer period, we may have to accept asynchronous transactions at times. That may be more appropriate for organizations that are able to work with replicas that do not necessarily have to be always synchronized and current. So many a times asynchronous methodology is also being followed, whereas synchronization adopts the principle of autonomy, thereby ensuring consistency of all the transactions. But then, in order to maintain consistency, asynchronous transaction provides update initially to all the local sites, then it updates itself to the master site. So this asynchronous replication can also be a part of this database replication. Now we will look at data ownership. Ownership relates to which site? Ownership relates to which site has the privilege to update the data. So we need to ensure what is the specific site which requires update on the data. Some sites would have used the snapshot, but then no transaction would have happened. Some sites would have used the snapshot and then few transactions would have happened. Now that it is time to synchronize transactions which has been successful with the actual or original or current database. So the main types of ownerships are master slave, workflow, and update anywhere. This update anywhere is sometimes referred to as peer-to-peer or symmetric replication. First we will look at what is master slave ownership. The asynchronously replicated data is owned by one site, that is the master site, which acts as the primary site and can be updated only by that site. So, any asynchronous replicated data will be owned only by the master site or the primary site, and any updates that happen is responsible only to that specific site. Using a publish and subscribe metaphor, the master site, which acts majorly as a publisher, makes data available at the slave sites, which mostly acts as a subscriber. When a master site publishes a specific data, the subscriber site uses all the data, makes use of the complete data towards the application and synchronizes with the publisher. The slave sites subscribe to the data owned by the master site, which means that they receive only read-only copies. As I have already told you, all the slave sites will just receive a snapshot of a data which is purely read-only on their local systems. Potentially, each site can be the master site for non-overlapping data sets. However, there can only be one site that can update the master copy of a particular data site. Any number of data sets that is available, there can be only one site which can make all the updation possible, which is to update on the master site. And so, update conflicts cannot occur between sites. So, between sites, although it is logically connected, not all the sites will push their data to the master site. Instead, all these data are logically connected, and only those transactions which are found to be consistent and without any conflict will be updated to the master site. This is a simple illustration of the master slave ownership, where from the master we have been disseminating all the data that is wanted by the slave site. So, this is supposed to be the master site or the actual centralized server which is connected to a master database, where at the master site we can do both read-write operations. Once the data is disseminated to different slave sites, any access to the database, it is just a snapshot of a data. So, I mean to say that all these slave sites will have only access to read and it can never write. So, this is as far as data dissemination is concerned. Whereas, when we talk about consolidation, that means all the master site is trying to push their data to one particular site. So, this is like consolidation, where there are so many master sites from where a specific slave site is to be built. So, I get heterogeneous variety or heterogeneous data sets from all the master sites. So, as I have indicated, master site has read-write, whereas slave site has read-only. From so many master sites, I am trying to get the data from, and once it reaches the slave site, I just make it read-only. So, this is data consolidation. There is a lot of difference between data dissemination and data consolidation. If you look at data dissemination, there is one centralized site which is supposed to be termed as master site, from where data is being spread through or disseminated to all the slave sites. Whereas, when I am trying to consolidate a slave site, I collect all the data from different master sites. It can be heterogeneous data sets also. From different master sites, I am trying to get all the information or all the data and consolidate it at one particular slave site, but then again the slave site database replication is read-only. So far we have looked at master slave type of ownership. Now we will start talking about workflow ownership. Like master-slave ownership, the workflow ownership models avoid update conflicts. So here also we tend to avoid update conflicts, while at the same time providing more dynamic ownership model. If you look at master-slave relationship, master has the highest priority of taking up all the data values from the slave by avoiding conflicts. Likewise, this workflow has also the responsibility to update conflicts, but then this is supposed to be called a dynamic ownership model. Workflow ownership allows the right to update replicated data to move from site to site. However, at any one moment, there is only ever one site that may be updated that particular data set. So given a particular point in time, this workflow ownership model is designed in such a way that given a specific point in time, this can update only one site. So a typical example of a workflow ownership is an order processing system, where the processing of orders follows a series of steps such as order entry, credit approval, invoice generation, shipping, and so on. So this is a step-by-step process where updation will happen on a sequential fashion. So there cannot be any parallel activities. So we are tending to reduce conflicts as much as possible. So only after order entry, credit is being approved. Only after credit is being carried out, then I can invoice. Further, after invoicing, it can only be shipped and it can be dropped at the remote location. So this is an illustration of workflow ownership model, where I have got a branch office and headquarters billing section. Both has the same relation. Only after the branch office has generated a specific transaction, it has been updated at the headquarters. Only after successful completion at the branch office, all the details will be updated to the headquarters. If in case the status, please identify the status here, it is billable, whereas when it reaches the headquarters, it should be billed. This is the third type of ownership, which is update anywhere ownership, where in this update anywhere ownership, the two previous models share a common property, that is, at any given moment, only one site may update the data. All the other sites have read-only access to the replicas, whereas this update anywhere is not that way. So in some environments, this is too restrictive again. So the update anywhere model creates a peer-to-peer, as I have already mentioned. This creates a peer-to-peer environment where multiple sites have equal rights to update replicable data. This allows local sites to function autonomously. Any number of local sites that is available, it can function autonomously even when other sites are not available. Although this seems to be logically connected, this has autonomy in its execution, although stating that many number of sites are not available. This is a scenario for an update anywhere kind, where I have my servers kept at different locations and it has been interconnected. Any which ways, any update at one particular location can be received from some other location, and anything that happens here can also be seen from a different location. So this is called an update anywhere ownership. So far we have looked at the different types of ownership, starting from the master slave to update ownership, update anywhere ownership. Now it is time to look at what is the purpose of replication server. So the replication server is an alternative and potentially more simplified approach to data distribution. So if you look at one specific database, the data that is available in the specific database has been spread through or distributed to multiple databases. After looking at data ownerships and its types, it's time for us to look at the functions of replication server. One of the major functionality of replication server is scalability. The server should be available to handle the replication of both small and large volumes of data. So any service that is being handled at the user's end, it need not be very small, or the replication need not be very small, it should be able to handle large volumes of data also. So this replication server is scalable to any extreme, and mapping and transformation also takes place in the replication server. The services should be able to handle replication across heterogeneous database systems and across various platforms. So mapping of various functionalities, mapping of adequate quantum of details, and transforming from one side to the other side can also be done by use of replication server. This may involve mapping and transforming the data from one model to a different data model, or data in one data type to a corresponding data type in another DBMS. Object replication. The other functionality is object replication, where it should be possible to replicate objects other than data. For example, some systems allow indexes and stored procedures to be replicated. As I have already indicated, replication not only talks about objects replication, data replication, it can even transfer stored procedures, views, functions, indexes, everything. So object replication in turn replicates the entire object, not only in terms of data but also in terms of indexing mechanism and the stored procedures. The other functionality is on the specification of replication schema. The system should provide a mechanism to allow a privileged user to specify the data and objects to be replicated. The other functionality of a replication server would be on a subscription mechanism. The system should provide a mechanism to allow the privileged user to subscribe to the data and objects available for replication. Many a times in today's application we see a message which is saying privileged user. That means quite often a user would have used those services. In that juncture, I would like to be notified as a privileged user. So there should be a subscription mechanism which can highlight and say that there are certain quantum of users which are called privileged users who can subscribe to the data and objects available for replication. Not only that, it can also have an initialization mechanism where the system should provide a mechanism to allow for the initiation of target replica. And this replication server is easy to administer. That is, it should be easy for the database administrator to administer the system and to check the status of monitor and to check the status and monitor the performance of the replication system components. To look at in summary on data replication, initially we have started defining on what a data replication is. That means we are actually making a copy of a database to run for various applications. It can even be a snapshot. And we have highlighted on the various benefits of database replication, starting from availability, reliability, load balancing, performance management, and so, and to different level of users. Looking primarily from today's session, we have talked about two different replication strategies. One is synchronous replication and asynchronous replication. When we talked about synchronous replication, which majorly focused on two-phase commitment protocol, it majorly updates the conflicts or negates the conflicts, whereas asynchronous replication can also be formed can also be utilized at times, and we have looked at various components of data replication. Further, we have also looked at different types of ownership, starting from master slave to update anywhere ownership. If you primarily looked at the master slave ownership, where master is given responsibility of both read and write operations, whereas slave is given a responsibility to only read, and this happens only at between their sides by looking at data dissemination and data consolidation. Whereas when we looked at the other level of ownership, which is update anywhere ownership, where all the master sites can be connected based on their geographical locations, and any site, if it is to be updated, is also been showed to the other sites. And finally, we have talked about replication server, where how data are shared from one server to the other servers, say MySQL applications, Oracle applications, or Oracle server, and so. And finally, we have looked at the different functionalities of replication servers. Thank you.